Back in the summer of 2026, a single passing remark sparked what seemed like a harmless digital joke. But within weeks, that joke exploded into a massive, chaotic, real-world mobilization that actually brought central New Delhi to a complete standstill. In this explainer, we are going to break down the anatomy of a modern protest and trace exactly how the Cockroach Janta Party transitioned from a viral internet phenomenon into the focal point of national unrest.
It all kicked off on May 15, 2026. During a hearing, the Chief Justice of India made a pretty controversial comment, referring to some activists and unemployed youth as parasites of society and cockroaches. Now, because these words were spoken by the custodian of the Constitution, they sparked immediate, widespread outrage among young Indians across the country.
In the internet's reaction? Absolutely instant. Literally, the very next day, on May 16th, digital strategist Abhijeet Dipke launched the Cockroach Janta Party, or the CJP. It was designed as a satirical parody of the ruling party, basically embracing that cockroach insult and wearing it as a badge of honor for the unemployed. What started as satire took the internet by storm, and it instantly garnered millions of followers across social media platforms in just a single week.
So look at how incredibly fast this escalated. We have a direct line connecting the Chief Justice's remarks on May 15th to the digital founding of the CJP on May 16th. But the outrage didn't stay confined to the internet for long. Within less than a month, by June 6th, this digital wave crashed right into the physical world, resulting in a highly organized mobilization at Jantar Mantar.
Now, to really understand why this movement suddenly spilled into the streets, we have to look at a parallel crisis that ignited just days prior. On May 12th, the National Testing Agency abruptly canceled the NEET undergraduate medical entrance exam for over 2.2 million students. Following widespread allegations of question paper leaks and severe irregularities, millions of young aspirants were just suddenly thrust into total academic limbo.
And the human cost of this cancellation was just devastating. The intense distress, the uncertainty, and the immense financial pressure of having to retake this exam took a terrible toll. At least 10 student suicides were directly linked to the fallout of the NEET paper leak. That includes a 19-year-old aspirant from Coimbatore who tragically took her own life after expressing severe anxiety over having to face the examination all over again.
Those tragic losses completely shifted the CJP's focus. The satirical outfit transformed into a very real vehicle for grief and anger. On June 6th, the Cockroach Janta Party organized a physical sit-in at Delhi's Jantar Mantar. The protesters, who were largely students and youth, laid out concrete demands. They wanted immediate, systemic education reforms and the outright resignation of the education minister over the exam leaks.
Over the following weeks, the crowds at Jantar Mantar steadily grew. But things gained major national momentum on June 28th. That's when prominent climate activist and education reformer Sonam Wangchuk officially joined the students at the sit-in. To really amplify their demands for government accountability, Wangchuk initiated an indefinite hunger strike, which drew the eyes of the entire nation straight to the protest site.
That fast lasted for 3 grueling weeks. By July 18th, his 21st day without food, Wangchuk had lost over 9 kilograms. With medical professionals warning of imminent organ impairment and the Delhi High Court ordering daily health monitoring, police intervened. Citing his rapidly deteriorating health, authorities forcibly removed Wangchuk from Jantar Mantar and relocated him to Safdarjung Hospital. It was an action Wangchuk himself described as an illegal detention.
But if authorities thought forcibly removing Wangchuk would quiet things down, well, it actually did the exact opposite. In direct response to Wangchuk's hospitalization, CJP founder Abhijeet Dipke immediately stepped forward to continue the momentum. Dipke started his own indefinite hunger strike right there at the protest site, making sure the pressure on the government remained entirely unbroken.
All of this steady escalation finally came to a head 2 days later on July 20th, which deliberately coincided with the first day of Parliament's monsoon session. The CJP organized the Chalo Sansad March. A massive gathering of students, professionals, and families set out to peacefully walk the 2 kilometers from Jantar Mantar directly to the Parliament building, totally intent on making lawmakers hear their voices.
Now, as this massive crowd gathered, there was a big question about who would actually lead the march with Wangchuk in the hospital. Some unverified claims started circulating that Wangchuk's wife, Gitanjali J. Angmo, had vowed to lead the protesters in his stead. But it's really important to note here, Police have explicitly denied these allegations, and to this day it remains a disputed claim rather than an established fact of the day's events.
The reality on the ground, however, quickly descended into absolute chaos. The protest had been explicitly denied police permission under orders that banned gatherings of 5 or more people. So, when the swelling crowd attempted to breach the security barricades blocking their path to Parliament, Delhi police responded with force, deploying a Lathicharge, using batons to physically repel the crowds.
And when the baton charges didn't push back the thousands of determined supporters, security forces escalated their crowd control measures even further. Police resorted to firing tear gas shells directly into the crowds of protesters. The center of New Delhi was briefly paralyzed by these clashes, and authorities even temporarily shut down mobile internet in parts of the wider central Delhi area just to try and control the mobilization.
The violence that day was intense, and, it's worth noting, bilateral. Amidst reports and eyewitness accounts of stone pelting by unidentified individuals within the crowd, law enforcement suffered heavy casualties. According to senior police officials, over 100 police personnel sustained injuries during the clashes. Because of this, the Delhi police registered a first information report against unidentified persons for vandalizing police vehicles and throwing stones.
In the immediate aftermath of all this unrest and physical scuffling in central New Delhi, authorities moved in to clear the area. Police officially detained 70 protesters for questioning regarding their roles in the unauthorized march and the subsequent breach of the barricades.
Following the sheer chaos and violence of the march, there was a sudden, deliberate de-escalation from the movement's leadership. CJP founder Abhijeet Dipke officially ended his indefinite hunger strike. He didn't do it because the government met his demands, but at the direct personal request of the hospitalized Sonam Wangchuk. They clearly wanted to prioritize stability after the day's intense physical clashes.
Sonam Wangchuk, however, still refused to eat. From his hospital bed, he issued a handwritten note laying out 3 specific, non-negotiable conditions for ending his own fast. First, the government had to take accountability for the failures in the education system and the paper leaks. Second, political leaders had to assure him the issue would be debated in Parliament. And third, top political leaders had to personally visit him in the hospital to provide these assurances.
So, the CJP began as a digital joke, right? But it evolved into a real movement that brought thousands to the streets, resulting in violent clashes, mass detentions, and hospitalized leaders. Today, with Wangchuk's demands still unmet and the underlying integrity of the NEET exam totally unresolved, we're left to ask, what is the true human cost of this crisis, and what exactly is the future of India's education reform?